Each of us has our own unique background and story of how we became a part of Chiefs Kingdom.
Our reach is far and wide with fans all over the world cheering on our Kansas City Chiefs.
Everyone donning the red and gold has figuratively signed that mutual agreement and come together for one common purpose.
For 76,000 of us at a time to descend upon Arrowhead, man our stations, let out our loudest battle cry to the tune of 142.2 decibels, and make that stadium rock until our opponents beg for mercy.
We are unrelenting in our pride for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the Allies, Arrowhead Allies. Once again, it is on. Chiefs Kingdom of all nation, creed, religion, background. We are here once again about to embark on another Super Bowl journey. Welcome to Arrowhead Allies, home of your 2023-24 AFC champion, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah!
Arrowhead Allies.
Yeah, baby!
This is our Back to the Bowl show, and we're going back to Frank Bowl only because Taylor Swift turned us down. Frank, you were our option number 2, and it's all good, baby. How are you?
I feel great. I'm wondering where Tay-Tay is. I'm just going, what are you guys doing with this old man? We need some Tay-Tay in here. Come on.
We sure tried, Frank. And Brian, hit us up. Let's go. Keep it rolling.
Well, I mean, look, all year, I'm just kicking my feet up today, fellas. This is kind of like not a victory lap per se, but in the words of Nick Wright, never a doubt. Never a doubt here, baby. I told you all year, even with the receivers dropping passes, we're going to be fine. Even with Jawan Taylor getting a penalty every other play, we're going to be fine. The defense smothered the MVP, Lamar Jackson. And, fellas, I got a lot of thoughts about this defense and what they did tonight. I cannot wait to dive in. Amazing performance by Spags and the boys.
Yeah, it was absolutely. I'm going to just jump in here because I don't know, when to do it or when not to. So I'm just going to do it. And then if I mess up, I can only say, well, I'm old. So just, leave me alone. Okay. But the Spags for the entire season, that defense has been absolutely incredible. Every time you think they may have reached a peak, they haven't. And I don't expect him to stop now. He's going to throw everything at Brock Purdy, young quarterback. Kyle Shanahan's a heck of a coach. That's a good football team. But I said before the AFC Championship game, I said whichever team wins the AFC Championship is going to win the Super Bowl. And the Chiefs won. And I very much believe that they will win the Super Bowl. In fact, I'll go one step further and say that the pressure is on the Kansas City Chiefs, not the San Francisco 49ers, because if Patrick Mahomes wants to continue to build that legacy, he wants to get one step closer to the Tom Brady 7 Super Bowl championships. So this would be number 3 for him. You're there. You got to take advantage of it. You got to do it. There's no telling how much longer Andy will coach, how much longer Travis Kelce will play. Chris Jones won't be here next year. So I'm just saying, you're there. Just grab the brass ring and go, man.
Hey, Frank, last week we had Joe Theismann on our show, and 2 weeks ago we had Pat Mahomes Sr. on our show. So for the last 2 weeks, we have been talking about, like what you brought up, legacy, playoff legacy. I always felt, and I talked to Joe Theismann and Pat Mahomes Sr. about this the last couple of weeks, it expands your legacy by winning road playoff games. When you look at it in totality, Frank, how do you look at what Patrick Mahomes has done by winning these last 2 games in Buffalo and Baltimore?
Well, I just think it just took that off of his shoulders, Well, we'll see what happens to him when he gets on the road in the playoff games. He just showed you he's 2-0. So, you can even the Tampa Bay Super Bowl was basically a road game because it was in Tampa Stadium against Tampa. But he has definitely he has definitely shrugged this off his shoulders to get rid of that lingering thing in the background. And he always he is always motivated, and he's always looking for something to motivate him. He doesn't need other people to motivate him, although if, the San Francisco 49ers between now and a week from Sunday want to chime in with something that's going to tick him off, well, then that's a different story. That's their problem. But he really doesn't need that. All he needs is his own motivation, and every little step he takes is motivation. The ultimate motivation, to win as many Super Bowls as he possibly can and try to track down Tom Brady. But I will tell you this. Let's think about this for a minute. We will go back when he is inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You'll go back and run down his stats, and you'll do this, that, and the other. The one thing that's going to come up mostly is how many Super Bowls did he win? Okay. Mm-hmm. And was he the greatest player of all time? And by that time, he may very well be the greatest player of all time because he's still a young player. But we're not going to remember exactly at that point. You guys might, because you're into the minutia, but you're not going to remember exactly how many road playoff games he won and exactly how many home playoff games he won. You're just going to know that he won playoff games and he won Super Bowls, and that's basically all that counts.
And at the end of the day, Frank, I just believe that, like Michael Jordan, that's what made MJ so great. No one cared about how he did it. It was the fact that this guy came into the league, dominated the way he did, and we're seeing that very thing with Patrick Mahomes. And it's just amazing to see as a Chief fan, even here in Los Angeles, California. But Frank, we have to talk about a guy that my guys, Noah and Clint, have been destroying for a long, long time. Matter of fact, all of Chiefs Kingdom have been destroying for a long, long time. Have you ever seen a guy go from being hated on as much as we saw MVS to him being the guy who pretty much helped close out the Ravens, made 2 big-time catches versus the Buffalo Bills? Like, do you remember a time that Chiefs Kingdom said, we can't stand this guy, get rid of him, he's a bum, to now we love him, I hope he makes another big catch in the Super Bowl? Have you ever seen a player like that?
Let's see. Kadarius Toney?
We didn't hate him yet last year.
That's a tough one.
You remember that guy that guy, Kadarius Toney? What?
The inverse. We loved him for what he did in the Super Bowl, and then now this year we hate him. We can't wait till he's gone.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, but it's true. And MVS has redeemed himself. I mean, he could have. I mean, that last catch he made, you just go, wow. And I know the pass was great, but it was just floated up there, and MVS comes out and had to concentrate. The defender was right in front of him, had to concentrate and bring that football in. Yeah, I think he's done. Yeah, I just think he's done a great job of redeeming himself to this point. And you're right. I have not seen a whole lot of guys hated as much as he has been, but Kadarius Toney was a close second for a while there.
Yeah.
No redemption yet for Kadarius. We'll see if Andy Reid decides to bring him back into the mix.
No,
he's not hurt.
No,
we don't need it.
No.
So, Frank, you do a podcast called "There's Just Something About Kansas City."
Right.
I want to ask you about Kansas City over the last 4 years. Because you think back to, in February of 2020, we're celebrating the city's first Super Bowl since 1970 to now. It seems so different in just such a short time. I mean, we're talking about going to another Super Bowl 4 out of 5 years, and it kind of feels like a Tuesday here in Kansas City. Whereas after you beat the Titans to go to the Super Bowl back in 2020, the city was abuzz. It was just, the fervor was unreal. Not to say that this has maybe gotten to be a bit of a spoiled fan base. There's a lot of that goes into this. You do this enough and it becomes old hat. But how do you see just this city has changed as the Chiefs organization, as Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, the Super Bowls, all this has changed with it?
Yeah, right. And it's not just the Kansas City Chiefs either. Remember 2014, the Royals won the American League Championship Series. They lose to San Francisco in the World Series, 7 games Madison Bumgarner had to come out and be, Superman in Game 7, and then they just turn it around. They chip on their shoulder. 2015, they just tore through the American League. There was no stopping that baseball team. They're going to win the World Series come hell or high water. They did do that. We had the parade in 15. Then all of a sudden, fast forward a little bit. They draft Patrick Mahomes. They trade up and trade up and pick Patrick Mahomes. A lot of people thought it was going to be Deshaun Watson. Can you imagine the nightmare in this city if the Cleveland Browns? If Houston had picked Patrick, or the Chiefs had picked Deshaun Watson, and Houston turned around and picked Patrick Mahomes, you just go,
Blackledge.
Oh my God. It would have been the Todd Blackledge, Dan Marino thing all over again. And we'd still be sitting here suffering. But Brett Veach was adamant about it. Somebody said he got up on his chair or stood on a table or something in the draft room and said, "This is our guy. Let's go get him." They went and they got him. And they absolutely have ridden the crest of that wave. A lot of people think, too, maybe he should have played that last year when Alex Smith was here, when Alex Smith was here for his final season. But I think everything just worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
I just think having Alex Smith there, tutoring Patrick Mahomes and how good he was with Patrick Mahomes, I think that could never be short-sighted as far as I'm concerned. That's the toughest thing for an older athlete to do, is try to mentor a younger athlete who he knows is going to take his place on that football team. So I hats off to Alex Smith, and of course everything he's done since that time, ever since he broke his leg so severely. But Patrick Mahomes has just been incredible. And I mean, don't get tired of it. Don't get, too, I don't know, you could be great fan base for it, but just don't get tired of this situation, because this just doesn't happen. Just ask the New England Patriots.
Right.
I have to. Oh, go ahead, Noah.
Go ahead, Brian. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to jump in. I didn't mean to be rude, because my question was kind of sort of on the same trend as Clint's question. Like, Frank, you've been covering this team since the John Malkovich era in the early 80s. And you've seen a lot of empty locker rooms. You've been to a lot of empty and depressing press conferences where maybe it's just you and a couple of other reporters. And you even covered the team in the 2000s and 2010s during what I would like to say is the worst time in Chiefs history, from probably 2009 to 2012. Frank, and you lived in this city for a long time. From a sports writer or a sports journalist perspective, we've heard of the fans' perspective on what this means to Kansas City and what it means to us to constantly have a Super Bowl contender. But in your wildest dreams, being in the sports journalism world, Mr. Bowl, did you ever foresee Kansas City having that guy, having the Jordan of the NFL on their team, constantly taking them to Super Bowls? From your perspective, what does that mean?
You call me Mister again, I'm never going to answer another question, okay? So, yeah, no, I have, I'm only kidding. I've never seen anything like this. I never thought in my lifetime that I would still be covering sports and this was going to happen in Kansas City. I went through, I was here. Marv Levy was the head coach when I got here, was the Chiefs head coach, and they couldn't wait to get rid of Marv because, in those days, I don't think the general manager and for the president was Jack Stedman, the general manager was Jim Schaaf, and they just weren't football guys. Okay, and then they get rid of Marv Levy. I'm going, what? Marv Levy's a pretty good coach. And then he went 4 falls in Buffalo. We all know what happened. Didn't get over the hump. But he lost 4 straight Super Bowls. But the situation was they drafted Todd Blackledge because they sort of liked his personality better. But I told John Malkovich, I did the John Malkovich show when he was here. And I told Coach, I said, hey, Coach, I'm not in the middle of this. I'm not a scout, but I know one thing. Dan Marino, I said, do not pass Dan Marino. Okay. And during that draft, there were questions about Dan Marino. Was he a good guy off the field? Well, was he injured? Was his shoulder hurt at one time or whatever? They're talking about all stuff that happened at Pitt. And Dan Marino just happened to go to my high school too, by the way. But the deal was, I told John, I said, hey, coach, I said, Dan Marino's a hell of a player. He's a hell of a kid. He's a Western Pennsylvania kid. He's tough. Look at all these other quarterbacks that have come out of Western Pennsylvania. I said, yeah, coach, he's a heck of a player. Next thing you know, they go and they drafted Todd Blackledge. And, of course, Dan Marino never got over the hump to win a Super Bowl. But with John Malkovich and the way he designed his offense, he'd have been a perfect fit with Dan Marino here in Kansas City. And I think they could have gotten some things done instead of John Malkovich. After the first time the Chiefs have been in playoffs forever, they end up firing John Malkovich because a certain kicker decided that they wanted the special teams coach as a head coach instead of John Malkovich, and that was Frank Gans. And it was a disaster from that point until they finally hired Carl Peterson, who just happened to have the opportunity to hire Marty Schottenheimer, who had just been let go by the Cleveland Browns because he couldn't get over the hump in Cleveland.
Absolutely. And we talked a little bit about legacy. And as you can see behind me, I've already got 2 Super Bowls here. I never thought that we would have one, Frank, here in Kansas City. I've got 2 trophies behind me. I don't have room on the shelf. So I know a lot of people are worried about me and trying to get me this 3rd Super Bowl trophy. I'm going to just calm everyone down and say, forget about Noah for 1 second, because I'm thinking about Patrick Mahomes and how important this is for him. And I want this for him worse than I do for myself. I'm thinking about his legacy, being the best quarterback ever, being better than Tom Brady. So talk about how important 3-1 is versus 2-2.
Oh, I think it's really important. And no, whatever you do, if you get that 3rd trophy, don't put it behind your head. Okay. I won't
be in the shot.
The visual will be bad. So yeah, I think for Patrick's, I think Patrick Mahomes is a Hall of Fame quarterback already with everything he has accomplished. Okay. He really, God forbid if he went out and he had he got an injury and was never quite the same again or whatever, I think he is definitely still a Hall of Fame quarterback. There'd be no holding him out. But the important thing to remember is not just for himself, but for his teammates as well. He'll turn around and look at his individual accolades and, polish up the Super Bowl trophies and MVP awards and all that stuff later. His kids can talk to him about it and all that. But I really think he does want to win for his team. And I think that's what separates him from a lot of guys. He is so much into his teammates and, protecting their rear. You know what I mean? Just, standing back behind him. And whenever people are having issues, Travis Kelce's the same way. MVS is dropping footballs and Travis is over there putting his arm around him, Of course, he sticks his shoe up Kadarius Toney's shoe. But that's okay. That's the area there. But the deal is, his legacy is going to stand here in Kansas City. There may never, by the time he's done, ever be another like him, not just here, but anywhere in the NFL. And I know everybody's going to say, well, Tom Brady was here and nobody thought that would ever be eclipsed. Well, you're seeing a player like Patrick Mahomes come and try to eclipse that, and we don't know if he's going to make it or not. 7 Super Bowls is really hard to do, man. Let's face it. If they win this year, and I believe they'll win on Super Bowl Sunday, it'll be the first time a team has gone back-to-back in 20 years. That team, Tom Brady and New England Patriots. Yeah. So there's still a lot of legacy to be had and, a lot of things to be etched into his career stat list.
Excellent. Frank, when let's talk specifically about this Chiefs-Ravens game 2 days ago in Baltimore. The Chiefs came out, had 2 long touchdown drives. Of course, a beautiful touchdown pass to Kelce through that tight window in the front corner of the end zone. And of course, the 9-minute drive that gave the Chiefs the lead 14-7 after Baltimore had tied it. When you look at that game, even though the Chiefs were only up 17-7 in the second half, at least I felt, the Chiefs had it under control. They had this game under control. I felt like even though the Chiefs weren't scoring, they were doing enough. And Phil Simms even alluded to it after on post game that was the best game managing that he ever seen Patrick Mahomes take. During that second half, when it was going on, Frank, how did you feel, with the ebb and flow of how things were going? Did you feel like the majority of us felt like the Chiefs had it under control?
Yeah, and the only reason is because Baltimore never seemed to take advantage of the fact that their defense rose up. They really did some good things. They started to shut the Chiefs down. The Chiefs were smart enough to go, you know what? They're really playing a high-level defense right now. We can't make any mistakes. We can't throw an interception. We can't drop the ball on the ground. We can't commit any stupid penalties. And just, let's just play. Let's keep it in front of us. And it just looked, even in the first half, that Lamar Jackson wasn't really up to the task. And I think Steve Spagnuolo and the defensive coaches knew that. I don't think they told the players that. I think they told the players, hey, you're going to have to staff this guy or whatever. But I just thought the way they approached having Lamar Jackson out there, I just don't think they believed Lamar Jackson was going to come back and beat them. And he did. But I will tell you, it was 17-7. And I think it was the first play of the fourth quarter when L'Jarius Sneed made maybe the play of the year for the Kansas City Chiefs when he knocked that ball away from Zay Flowers at the goal line when he extended. I mean, you think about that. Think about back on your athletic days and the split second that you have to see Zay going, trying to tackle him before he gets to the end zone. He reaches the ball and your whole mindset changes. And L'Jarius Sneed goes, boom. And he says, I got to get that football. And he knocked that football out of there. That was just incredible. Think this way. They score that touchdown. They kick the extra point, and it's 17-14. Lamar now, all of a sudden, the Chiefs now, all of a sudden, they're going to have to re-crank their offense. We're only up by 3. The whole third quarter, we didn't do a thing. Now we got to come out in the fourth quarter, and now we've got to re-crank the offense. Let's get this thing going a little bit. I think they might have been able to do that. Okay, maybe gone down and kicked a field goal to go up 20-14 type thing. Now all of a sudden, Lamar can come down the field, and he doesn't have to force that throw. He doesn't have to throw with 3 defenders right there. And the whole football game is different if L'Jarius Sneed does not knock that ball out and Zay Flowers scores that touchdown. Whole different game.
Yeah, and Frank, just speaking of the defensive side of the ball, are people not giving enough credit to the job that Spags has done with his time in Kansas City? Because we know that Trav, we know that Pat, Andy Reid, they're going to be for sure Hall of Famers. But Spags has a chance to win, I believe, his 5th Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator. And the job that he has done, coming into the season, we all were like, hey, this is going to be a really good Chiefs defense that's going to help. Nobody, I believe, expected for them to be possibly the best defense in the NFL all year long, where they're able to rush the passer, stop the run, maybe the best secondary that the Chiefs has possibly ever had with the way that they're performing. Are people underestimating the job that Spags has done for this team with his tenure with the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, I think so. I think nationally they probably are. Here in Kansas City, we probably see it a lot more, but nobody really nationally, whatever, wants to talk about anybody but Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, and Andy Reid. Okay, that's all they want to talk about in the NFL right now. And Spags is sort of flying under the radar, which is okay with Spags. But there's another thing about that legacy thing. Win more Super Bowls. I don't think there's any doubt that he will be in the Hall of Fame if they can win a couple more Super Bowls, and he's still the defensive coordinator. He's going to have to turn it around next year, remember. Chris Jones ain't going to be here, okay? And it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think he's up to the task. He'll look at his pieces. He'll design his defenses, to fit that, and then he'll just go from there. But he's just been incredible. Everywhere he has been incredible. Now he's winning more Super Bowls, and that's really, really important to him and his legacy in the league. But I think he has a real chance to be an NFL Hall of Famer as well.
Frank, we got to talk about it. First Super Bowl ever to take place in Las Vegas, Nevada. I know you've covered a lot of Super Bowls. Fans are trying to ascend onto Sin City. Media, some of us are going to be down there covering for, I don't know how I'm going to make it a week, Frank. I'm already worried about it. This is going to be a spectacle in and of itself, just trying to make it through a week of media events, parties, and just this overall mystique that Vegas is going to bring. Forget the players. They're staying 25 miles off the strip. Thank God. God bless them. What is this week going to be like for Chiefs fans going, for media? And by the way, you need to come. Just tell your wife you'll be right back. It'll be no problem. Come on down.
Hey, Clint, just stay out of the strip bars, okay? That's all I'm going to tell you. All right, just
Don't have to worry about me.
Okay, I just worry about everybody. Yeah, it's going to be funny. Do you know? And I'm sure you remember this. You remember when they built Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas? There was a Kansas City Chiefs fan on the construction crew, and he buried a Kansas City Chiefs flag inside the concrete at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So don't worry about this Super Bowl. It's all taken. It's the flag is right beside Jimmy Hoffa. So don't worry about it. All right. It's right there. So yeah, I know that. It's crazy. It's just being there is going to be just insane. And the place is insane anyway. I've never really particularly liked Las Vegas. If I'm going to go someplace to gamble and then have other things to do, I'd rather go to Lake Tahoe, California, and do it there instead. But Las Vegas is Las Vegas. I've been there a few times, and it gets old after a while. And Super Bowl week, it won't get old. Super Bowl week, there'll be so much to do. It'll be incredible.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Joshua Garcia and Haas for Buddy in the building. What's happening? I see you representing. Frank, we're going to look back on this team and be like, damn, they stopped Lamar Jackson in 2023. They stopped peak Lamar Jackson in his MVP year when everybody had him pinned into the Super Bowl. To put in perspective, Frank, what this defense is doing, what they've done this year, and like compared to the 69 Chiefs, who I think that's probably our best defense of all time, along with maybe the 95 Chiefs 97. Or the 97 Chiefs. Like, can you, I guess, kind of rank where you would put the 2023 Chiefs defense in perspective and what they've been able to do this year?
I just think when you look at this team, you always have to put it in respect of Steve Spagnuolo knows who is guiding the offense. Okay, he's got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. He knows he can take chances. He knows he can do things that other coaches might not want to do if he didn't quite have that quarterback back there, and knowing that if we make a mistake or something happens or whatever, Pat's got our back and he'll bring us through there. So I think what he's doing is just incredible. Those other defenses were really, really good. Okay, especially that 69-70 Chiefs defense. You look at those guys who were so far ahead of their time. Buck Buchanan, the size of Bobby Bell. Can you imagine? You see Bobby Bell today, you say he could put on pads, go out there and play. I mean, good Lord, just amazing. Willie Lanier. I mean, those guys were just phenomenal. But I think this defense has its share of stars. I think one of them is going to leave. I think you're going to have Chris Jones is going to be gone, but he will probably have 3 Super Bowl rings. He's fine. He's going to go get his money, and I don't blame him. And then you're just going to have to figure it out from that point on. You have to replace him along the front. I think they'll probably find somebody, probably not as good as he is, but they'll find a way to get it done. And as long as you have that kid play quarterback, I think that you're always, if you're on defense, you always have in the back of your mind, let's go 100%. We're going to go after him. We're going to blitz him like this. If he beats us, he beats us. But we got number 15 back there ready to, after the kickoff to take it down the field and save our butt.
Hey, Frank, we've all heard, and you alluded to it with Kadarius Toney and his Instagram story that he put out there for the world to hear 2 hours before the Chiefs played Baltimore. The Chiefs have this week to deal with it, because if the Chiefs don't deal with the Kadarius Toney situation this week, next week it's going to be a distraction, because you're going to have all the media asking the Chiefs wide receivers, what about Kadarius Toney? What's going on? Why did he say this? What did they do that? My question to you is, do you think Andy Reid will address Kadarius Toney this week so it doesn't become an issue next week? I know in his on Zoom he did well. On Zoom on Monday he said, "Well, I haven't heard the whole thing yet. I don't know anything about it." Do you think Andy Reid will address Kadarius Toney this week to get ahead of it before they go to Vegas?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Now, remember, the national media will be here this week anytime Andy and or the players are available. They're not available very much this week. They're going to have a couple of days of stuff. And this is the time for them to get all of the distractions and everything else out of the way. Answer some of the questions about Taylor Swift. You're not going to get away from those questions in Las Vegas, about Taylor Swift. So get everything else done. Get it out of your way. You're already going to put in your game plan and get some serious work in here in Kansas City before you go to Las Vegas and have to deal with the media day and everything else that surrounds the Super Bowl. Best thing is the Chiefs know exactly what to expect because they were just there. It's been a while for San Francisco, and I think maybe is it 10 San Francisco players are still there that played in that Super Bowl game against Chiefs. I think it is 10 guys, including Coach Kittle. But the quarterback's new to this. He's done a really nice job. I think that kid has a terrific future. I just don't think he's going to get it done against Spags defense on Super Bowl Sunday.
Frank, last thing before we get you out of here, can't thank you enough for your time. Always so gracious. We got to ask you how you're handling being the villain. Did you ever think you would be here? Obviously, it was the Patriots and their Spygate, Deflategate, but now people are accusing the Chiefs of cheating. They got the refs on their side and Taylor Swift. It's written in the script. So how are you just handling being the villain of the NFL, and how sweet is it that finally it's the Kansas City Chiefs' turn?
It's great. Now, I went to school in Philadelphia, right? I'm from Pittsburgh, but I went to school in Philadelphia. You know how the Philadelphia media is. Every time the Chiefs have lost this season, my guy who's on radio in Philly calls me on the phone and says, "Hey, man, can you come on at about 1:45 this afternoon, Central Time, and talk about the Chiefs?" I said, "Oh, yeah, sure. No, I know exactly what's coming." Andy Reid. Andy Reid is going to have to. Oh, Andy Reid. They've been talking like this for like 3 or 4 years. It's unbelievable. And every time they come on, they want them to fail. Okay, they just don't want to think that Andy couldn't get it done here. Look what he's doing in Kansas City. What the heck's going on? So they never want to give Andy any credit whatsoever. And I'm expecting a call later tonight. He usually calls on Monday night for Tuesday, and he's going to call. They won, but he's going to call and say, "Well, you're so lucky. A penalty, and then this and that." And these guys, it's great. It's just you know what? Embrace the hate. I mean, just embrace it. Just gather it up and just gobble it down. It's great. This is what New England was going through the whole time. Not only were the Patriots great, but the Bruins are great. The Celtics are great. The Boston Red Sox were great. Everybody was great in New England for a long period of time. So let's just take this, enjoy it, because someday it's going to end and they're going to have to rebuild and start over.
Oh, God.
Hope that's a long time from now.
I didn't want to have to deal with that yet, Frank. Yes, you are correct. Thank you so much. The Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl. We went back to Frank Bowl here on Arrowhead Allies this week. Frank, thank you so much.
Frank Bowl.
Hey.
Thanks, Frank.
KC.com. There's just something about Kansas City. Check out his podcast, somethingaboutKC.com.
Thank you, boys. I appreciate it, man.
And after 3 times, he is adept to. He knows StreamYard like the back of his hand now, guys. Get to him right now.
Takes me 3 hours to do this stuff. Give me a break, will you?
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Thank you.
There it is, guys. Arrowhead
Godfather.
Allies. I cannot tell you what we're feeling. This is a group hug. Last week we had some words between each other. We're like, "Hey, this McCole Hardman thing, whatever." Hey, it doesn't matter when you walk
Ryan
out.
said McCole Hardman's a weapon. Andy Reid disagreed because he kept him off the field.
He played one snap. He played
We're
one
right
snap.
about that one. But what this is at this point, guys, is a chance for a big group hug, because this is what we've been talking about. This is what we've worked for. This is what we strive for. When I say I wish we knew when we were that we were living in the golden years, when we were actually in them, and we are right now. Brian, I know you've got something to say about this defense, and I've been one that said, kind of controversially, I don't know if I want a good defense. This team was 8-6. It looked like it was going off the rails. I was like, well, this defense isn't going to get us to a Super Bowl. Oh my goodness. Here we are. And now as we sit, this Kansas City Chiefs team, as we sit today, is the hardest team to punch out of this tournament that we've had yet under the Patrick Mahomes era. Brian, hit me one time.
Man, I'm look, the performance that Chris Jones has put on during this postseason during crucial times, it's unheard of. Deion Dawkins was talking last week with the Bills about good luck, Pat. Guess who was the one that fell in Josh Allen's lap during that interception that sealed the Bills' fate last week?
Good
Chris
luck,
Jones
Deion.
pushed Deion Dawkins right in his lap like he was Santa Claus, completely disrupted the play. You look at the game this week against Baltimore. Chris Jones was doing the same thing against the guards and the interior linemen against Baltimore. Lamar Jackson couldn't do anything, and it wasn't just Chris Jones. It was really the entire D-line. George Karlaftis, that man is a monster. His motor is like equal of Tamba Ali, but he still has like the aggressiveness and the fight and the impact of like maybe like a Justin Houston. Like his impact on that game was unmatched. The defensive line to me and the linebackers, Drew Tranquil, we got to talk about him a little later for filling in for Willie Gay and doing what he did. I mean, like what Spags did was legendary against the Ravens on Sunday. Think about the one touchdown they got. It was supposed to be sack. Lamar Jackson being the MVP, he's a great player. He got out of it, threw a lollipop to Zay Flowers for an easy touchdown. Besides that, they didn't sniff the end zone. I mean, Zay Flowers had the fumble at the goal line with L'Jarius Sneed. But you look at the points allowed in the second half, and it's been going on for the last month and a half of the season. They've been smothering opponents every single week in the second half. I was at that Bengals game. That was the swag surfing game where Willie Gay told the DJ to play swag surfing. And guys, like ever since then, the defense has been so aggressive and key and making key stops in key situations. They know how to get off of the field. And that's been the key to me during this postseason run with Patrick Mahomes, is the ability for the defense to almost whenever you need it, to get off the field on those crucial times during crucial games. Because Frank Bowl was right. That game could have got real dicey if it was any other defense than what we have this year. So, look, Spags and the defense are just as important to this team this year as Patrick Mahomes and everything he brings to the offense.
And Brian, can I talk about a guy that, you always give praise to and you always say it? In Veach, we trust, man. Veach knew exactly what he was doing when he was building this type of defense. And he said, hey, I got Andy Reid. I got 15. I want to put the right pieces around this defense so that Spags can shine the way that he needs to shine, because we're going to find a way to score points. What team is out there that's really lighting it up offensively like crazy? Nobody really. But if you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes and you give him a defense, this is the blueprint. This is how Tom Brady was able to get to 7 Super Bowls, because of a defense around him and then figuring out offensive pieces to help you score when needed. But the job that Veach has done, man, it has been a great job finding the talent, the right coaches around Andy Reid as well, making sure they have the discussion of like who should be guys that can help you on the offense, who can be guys that can help on the defense. I think that hopefully Veach can get his praise and the love that he deserves, because he drafted Karlaftis and made the move to get Trent McDuffie, and he drafted some of these late round picks who has become the players they become. He was the guy who said, let me go get this Charles Omenihu guy and have him come play on this D-line. Let me go and get Drew Tranquil, because I think that we need what he can do on defense. And that's why this team is close to getting its 3rd Super Bowl. And it's just an amazing job. So shout out to you, Veach. If my guys ain't going to show you love.
Veach, I trust. Can we have a defensive drafting general manager and an offensive one? Because an offensive general manager, Brett Veach, I do not trust. But
he got Pacheco.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. Can I please have this thing? I'm glad you brought that up. Let's look at the draft class from 2020. All right. Okay, Clyde, fine. But you get Willie Gay, you get L'Jarius Sneed, and you get Mike Dana in that draft alone.
I trust the defense.
Let's go to 2021. You get Nick Bolton, you get Creed Humphrey, you get Noah Gray, who has been key this year, fellas. He's made some key. Are you serious right now?
He said
These
Green, huh?
bitches.
Noah Gray.
But Noah, with the Chiefs constantly in 12, 13 personnel. And then also in 21, you get Trey Smith. And then let's go to 2022, where the 2 first-round picks, where I know there was some pushback on the Chiefs getting George Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie both in the first round of last. But I'm saying and then Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, and George. You look at this year's draft in 2023.
Pacheco.
In Veach we trust. You
seventh-round
build this
pick.
thing through the draft. In Veach we trust, man.
Yes, you have to trust Veach, because you could say, well, we need somebody to draft offense. If we don't have this defense that Veach drafted and put together with free agency, we're not in the Super Bowl, guys. We're not in the Super Bowl. George Pickens and DK Metcalf wish the Chiefs drafted them, because they haven't sniffed a freaking NFC Championship game, let alone
Isaiah
a Super
Pacheco,
Bowl.
7th-round pick.
So this entire team that's put together, yes, like I said, and I've said all along, Veach deserves his criticism, but he also deserves his kudos, as Romeo Cornell calls it. He deserves his kudos.
I like that word.
Romeo Cornell.
So, Veach deserves his credit, man. He does. And he keeps saying, and I keep thinking Veach is thinking of Noah. Veach is thinking of Noah, because that is at the press conference after
Pissed
the
me
game.
off with the receivers.
Just listen. He said it. He said, did you see the press conference after the game, Noah?
No, I don't watch anything.
Veach got up there and he was talking about how great things were, and then he threw in a little snippet. And there were some things we tried to do to trade up in the first round to get a wide receiver, but we were happy to stay where we were at. He keeps putting in those little snippets, Noah. So Brett Veach is listening.
You know what I call that, Shane? I call that
credit.
That's called too big for your britches, is what that's called. And I saw it on full display at the Combine last February when Noah Groniger, the man to my left, held his feet to the fire and said, well, what's this? What are we doing? What kind of receivers do you like, my friend? At this point, it's all water under the bridge, because like I said, this is the hardest team to punch out of the tournament that the Chiefs have had since these playoff runs began back in 2019. And so for that, I mean, it was controversial. I said, I don't know about this whole playing defense thing. It's not as exciting.
It wins.
You're laughing at me. And when we were 8-6, you were having a lot of fun, everybody.
Worst regular season of Mahomes' career with this.
We were having fun. We were having fun. Yeah, we were having fun.
We're in the Super Bowl.
I just said that this is the toughest team the Chiefs have had to knock out of the NFL playoffs since 2019. When we rewind back to Christmas Day, when the Chiefs handed the Raiders 14 points in 7 seconds, that was a low point. Did that cleanse this team? Did that force the addition by subtraction that we saw offensively? Did it force the defense to ratchet it up just that much more? Whatever happened, magic has returned to this city and this franchise, and that's all that matters. The nitpicking, we don't need it right now, right?
Brett Veach did say so. He did say the game on Christmas helped them have a come to Jesus moment, and they all looked at themselves in the mirror. I wish you guys would have saw that press conference.
No, yeah, he said the players that game was like the wake up call to where it's like, hey, we can't do it like we used to do it. So we need to come together and find a new way to make this happen. And that's exactly what they've done. Like, they found any way to make it happen. Of course, we want to see them score 50 points and have those type of numbers. But at the end of the day, it's all about winning.
Yes.
Like I said, the Chiefs are now the Los Angeles Lakers of the NFL. Yep. Oh, everybody's going to hate you. The Lakers went from Shaq and Kobe, where everybody we love this, to where they had some rough patches, but then it was a new look with Kobe and Gasol and those guys, and it was different, but it still led to championships. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. And Veach knows more than we do, because if it was us, we would draft receivers every round. Just have all these weapons from Mahomes.
Michael, you're getting hot in here right now.
But you have to build a team, and that's what I think they said.
Right.
With Tyreek and Sammy and those guys, we were known to be an offensive team, to where if our defense has a bad day, now we have to hope that Patrick is perfect. Now you can say, hey, even if Pat isn't perfect like we saw on Sunday, we're a complete team. We can play great defense. Our special team, our punter can get the ball to the 1. Our kicker can make 57-yard Field goal kicks. This is a complete football team, and I believe that it is the best fit around Patrick Mahomes because even he knows he doesn't have to force the ball and try to be Superman every play. He can go out there and say, all right, we're just going to take the yards, kick the ball, and let our defense be dominant, and we'll get the ball back. And it looks great so far.
Speaking of kicking the ball, we've got Justin Tucker here trying to get under the skin. Patrick Mahomes and Travis
around
Kelce.
and found out.
Got an idiot kicker out here ruining things for the Ravens before the game, like Mahomes and Kelce need any more fuel, and he's out here playing games and thinks it's all in good fun. Not so fast, my friend. You're going home 1-2-3 Cancun. Thanks, Justin Tucker.
Yeah, man. So
games.
Baltimore really tried to set the tone with these shenanigans that they tried to pull. I'm pretty sure this was talked about in the locker room. I'm pretty sure that this was said maybe during practice this week. Oh, I'm just gonna be a jerk to Patrick Mahomes this week. I'm gonna be a nuisance. I'm gonna kick where he usually practices. Oh, a word. You're going to do the champs like that? We don't give a damn if we're in Baltimore, if we're in Washington, we're in Switzerland, Australia. You're not finna do that to us. Why? And why would you do this when knowing that we're looking for smoke? Did you see the way that Travis Kelce went and grabbed his helmet and his footballs and just threw them out of the way? Yeah. I don't know. Like y'all haven't, Michael. I'm pretty sure you've seen Baby Boy. I'm not sure if the other fellas have seen Baby Boy with the Oscar performance that Snoop Dogg had in that movie. But there's a scene in that movie. There's a scene where Tyrese's son has exactly. He got the fort. He built his little fort up in the front room because he wants to guard himself from Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg, being the a-hole that he is, he says, "F your little fort." That's what Travis Kelce did. He went and stumped on their fort, moved their helmets out of the way. How dare you have the audacity? You're a kicker. We love kickers. Harrison Bucker, he doesn't do any of these shenanigans. The real all-pro kicker, by the way, in the NFL. Justin Tucker, you seriously have the gonads to do this to us? Travis Kelce just got his stuff and moved it out of the way, and nobody wasn't finna do nothing. Nobody. Why? Because they know we looking for smoke. I don't know why they set themselves up for that. And then during the game, Travis Kelce, and this is where the championship DNA comes, things that analytics cannot analyze, things that numbers cannot quantify, is that the emotion of the game, the fact that these idiots were talking stuff to the champs after plays, trying to hit Patrick Mahomes in the face, trying to rough us up like we're going to fold under the pressure. Are you serious? We was down 10 points in the Super Bowl to the 49ers and the Eagles and won both of them. You're not going to intimidate us, and you're not going to punk us because we got championship DNA in Kansas City, Missouri.
Ryan,
golly.
That was
Nick
amazing.
Lowry gave us some insight on that. He commented on my post about Justin Tucker, and he said, "I played almost 300 preseason, regular season games and playoff games. Not a single time did I try to warm up on the other team's side of the field, let alone a playoff game, let alone the championship game for the AFC. I don't know how he thought it was okay. I always knew it wasn't. And when Buddy Ryan came on our side of the field before the 94 divisional playoff game against the Houston Oilers with his hands atop his huge pot belly, all of us from Marcus Allen to Keith Cash to Joe Montana, Derek Thomas, and Dan Salimua, we all thought, what a joke. But Justin thought it was okay to come on our end, and it wasn't our 40-yard line. It was actually right down on our end zone side. I just don't understand it."
Yeah, it was some gamesmanship. You saw what they threw out, before the game. I can't remember the player number 10 for the Ravens who was all there in the face of the Chiefs DBs, and he ended up hitting Josh Williams. I love it because they know that they needed that boost. When you're going against the big dogs, you have to try to bring out everything that you have, and it's just you can't poke the bear, and they did exactly that. Now you give not only Mahomes more added motivation and Kelce, now you give all these defensive players who are like, damn it, we want to shut them up. We're tired of hearing people talking about Lamar is better than our quarterback. We're tired of hearing about we can't stop the run. We're going to come out there and dominate. And hey, I have to give a shout out to that front five, man, because coming in, we didn't know what it was going to look like with no Joe Tooney, and they were going against the number one defense. You heard about Roquan Smith talking all this craziness and things like that, but that front five did a great job. They were physical. They were smashing guys into the ground, finishing the plays. They protected Pat any way that they can. It was just a beautiful game watching the front five play. And that's why the confidence level for the Chiefs going into the Super Bowl is so high, because it's like everybody is playing like dogs, and they're not satisfied with just winning the AFC Championship. They're like, we want to win another Super Bowl. We want to do something a team hasn't done in 20 years, and this team is fired up and ready to go.
Hey, Noah, can you go back to that picture of Nick Lowry?
I can try.
You know that
There you go.
that's Nick Wright with him. Nick Wright. He's been the sideline guy for the Chiefs since like 1988.
Alex Wright.
Alex Wright.
I was about to say, not FS1's own.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like Nick?
Yeah, that's Alex Wright.
I love Nick Wright so much, man.
Alex Wright, he's
sometimes
been with the Chiefs for a long time. He's a good guy.
Absolutely. And you guys can keep talking. I'm just going to play some of these plays, Kelsey touchdown, some of these crazy plays, Zay Flowers. But you guys can just talk through it and say what you need to say.
Let's look at this.
Looks like this Davis.
Hey, if you look at that play,
oh my God, it's gone up the rails.
And fellas, who are they talking about all week trying to guard Travis Kelce? Who all week? 14, and he got mossed. He got little buoyed.
Boom.
That's what Hall of Fame players do.
If you look at that play to Kelce, that play was the same play they ran against the Buffalo Bills to win the game in the 13 seconds game.
In the overtime,
and it was the same exact route. It was a back shoulder at the pylon, the same exact thing. But you got Pat, man, and Pat, he trusts 87. And when people thought he was washed, 87 got that week off, and everybody was killing him for taking
it. It's a will to win right here.
Yeah, it's just greatness all around from both of the guys. And man,
will to win. Oh, hey, run that again, Noah, please. Run that play again.
Because we have the right for that clip.
Look how long Patrick has the ball up when he's trying to throw it. When
8 seconds.
Look how long he has it up. He has it up, and he just threw it up for trash. He literally just threw it up. Look at this is a better view of it. And look how long he has that ball up, ready in a cock position, ready to throw when defenders are on Patrick Mahomes. He's just waiting for Kelce to make the right move to the other way. Watch.
That front five, they were working.
Right here, he has the ball up. Look, he just threw it up. Kelce was going the other way. How do you defend that, man?
Then we got the Ravens big play here to Zay Flowers down the field. L'Jarius Sneed said he got a little bit lost. Let Zay Flowers get behind him. Also said he wasn't aware of the taunting. He's like, I didn't even really realize he like.
And what I didn't get was why Zay didn't just sprint for the pylon. It seems like if he would have said one cut and go, that he would have had a better chance of scoring. But shout out to Sneed. I saw somebody say it, I think it was on X, Twitter, whatever we want to call it, that the Chiefs have the two best tackling DBs in the league with Sneed and McDuffie. So Sneed made that play. A lot of guys are getting cooked. It's a touchdown and it's over, but then you have a chance to make a play. Sneed makes a play. Woo! McDuffie representing, Southern California, baby, go and gets the ball. But man, that defense is special. And even with a Minihue going out, they still were able to pressure Lamar Jackson with Mike Dana being on the field more. Wharton, who stepped up and was on the field more, making plays. Like it's
here's
just
your
a lot
MVS
of great
love.
Things. MVS.
Oh, yeah. Get it 11. Playoff MVS.
Get your tickets now.
Hey,
MVS
last year.
Tickets available now. MVSCelebritysoftball.com.
And MVS stands for Mr. Very Special because he steps up in big time moments. Mr. Very Special. He was like, hey, I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to make this catch sitting down so that no one can understand that I am a player when it matters. And that's what he did. Shout out to MVS, man.
I understand. I bought his jersey. There's me.
Yeah.
That's a Gerbag jersey.
No, it's not a Scantling. I'm a huge fan.
That's a good.
That's crazy,
jersey.
man. I'm happy for MVS, and he was able to I guess quiet his haters. He did have a bad season, but it's similar to last year. He had some rough patches during the season last year too. I remember the Colts game. He missed a wide open pass from Patrick earlier in the season. But man, I also remember that Jaguars game in the playoffs where Patrick was out for what was that, half of the first second
He
quarter.
missed a drive,
And he came up and made some plays. Even when Patrick had the high ankle sprain, when he came back in that Jaguars game, I remember him making a tough catch in the end zone for a touchdown in the Jaguars game. And there have been a couple other special plays MVS has made. But look, I ain't gonna lie to you fellas. I was shocked. I knew we were throwing it. Because the previous two players, we were running the ball just to burn their timeouts, the two remaining timeouts that Baltimore had. And I knew that the only way we were going to get a first down, because they were playing man, because they were trying to stop the run, was for us to get a play action of some sort, or have some type of deep throw or something on that third down. Because look, it was 17-10. It was a little dicey at that point. And I didn't want to give Lamar Jackson the ball back with $150 left or whatever, how much time was left. And so I was shocked. That was the most shocking part of the game to me, that it was 11.
I was screaming, please be Kelsey, please be Kelsey. Then I saw it was 11. I was like,
came down with that ball. And look, that was a hell of a play by MVS. In all seriousness, he had to contort his body. He had to turn and adjust to the ball. A perfect throw by Patrick to beat that coverage. That play really could have gone for a touchdown, in my opinion.
But you know something? When it's time to put Patrick Mahomes in the Hall of Fame, we're going to see Patrick Mahomes throwing playoff passes to Sammy Watkins, MVS, in more than one game. There's going to be a plethora of highlight film to Sammy Watkins and MVS, because you know what those two did? Despite Sammy Watkins missing freaking every other game with the hangnail, he delivered in crunch time. You know what MVS did? He delivered in crunch time as well. So when we're putting together that Hall of Fame highlight reel for Little Pat, it's going to include MVS and Sammy Watkins, regardless of how they came up short in those regular seasons. Praise to both of them.
I like it, baby.
Guys, we're not going to get into the matchup. That's going to be next week. The San Francisco 49ers. It's a rematch, a Super Bowl 54. And Brian, I thought of you because I don't know how I feel about the Chiefs are the home team in this game, which means we're running it back with the same uniforms as Super Bowl 54. I kind of and by the way, I think the team wearing solid colors is only 3-17 in the solid colors over the last 20 years, including the Chiefs over the Niners. I kind of thought the Chiefs might go throw a curveball and they're the home team and do something else. I don't know. The same uniforms. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling those uniforms on the field together again, but
you do it.
Oh, you're kidding me right now. Oh, you're kidding me, Clint.
You got to go to red.
The Chiefs today put out a picture of what the jerseys are going to look like.
It's beautiful. And
the purple 58 logo, it's so beautiful. It pops out so good on the red. But the thing that concerns me about the uniforms, and this might be a little silly, we are patched up.
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes, like we look it's like we got college jerseys on now. Like that Patrick Mahomes jersey, like everybody's jersey isn't going to have a captain patch, but Patrick Mahomes jersey right here, of course, the beautiful Lamar Hunt logo,
and
the Norma K Hunt logo was over here, but they had to move it over here to on Patrick's jersey because you got the captain patch and the Super Bowl patch. So there's 4 patches.
He patched up.
The NFL logo, that could be a little mini patch. So it's like 5 patches going against the collar jersey of Patrick Mahomes. I love it. I think it looks good.
Hey, and another thing.
It does.
The Pittsburgh Steelers were the team of the 1970s. They won 4 Super Bowls. They beat the Dallas Cowboys in 1975 and the Dallas Cowboys in 1978, both in the same colors. This is the same thing. The Chiefs are going to beat the 49ers 4 years later in the same uniform because we are the team. This is our dynasty. It's our time.
It's more about the Niners. Like, could the Niners at least do like the weird 94 3D numbers?
Those were terrible.
Oh, I like
that's
those.
On them. I kind of like them. They've worn that this year.
Those.
Could they commit to those?
But I think
I like the Steve Young jersey.
In the Super Bowl, you go with tradition.
You do.
You go regular schmegler in the Super Bowl. This is the grand game of them all. And the NFL is really like kind of traditional with that type of thing.
I agree there, 100%. Maybe we'll see the red pants. Just kidding. Of course not. That'd be ridiculous.
Hell no.
I
think the Chiefs have the worst record in red on red.
Yeah,
do they break out some gold cans?
No. We are not Ronald McDonald.
Yeah, no way. We don't want to look like Iowa State. Don't want to look like Iowa State.
That could confuse Brock Purdy.
There it is.
Yeah. Here's
Amazing.
Kelsey passing Jerry Rice for most receptions in the playoffs. And at the time I did this, it was 154. I think it's 156 now that he has. And there's Deion Sanders calling Travis Kelce him. He also went on to call Andy Reid coach him. So we got a lot of hymns out there. I think Patrick Mahomes is him. So I don't know how many hymns we can have out there, but apparently at least 3.
It's amazing, man.
That connection.
Amazing.
The connection that him and Pat has, like when you're watching, like, you know, the all 22 and things like that, you see how it shows that it was so beneficial that Travis Kelce at once played quarterback, because he's able to read the defense just as well as Pat. So he's able to, it's like right when the ball is hiked, he's looking and like, oh, this is what they're doing. Instead of doing this route, I'm going to stop right here. And Pat is so good at finding 87 that, bam, the ball is delivered. That's like earlier in the year where Travis ran the wrong route because he saw the middle of the field was open. Pat finds him for the touchdown. It just shows how great of a mind that Travis Kelce has, because we all know that he's kind of lost a step a little bit, but that doesn't take away that he just knows how to run routes. He knows how to use his big body, and he knows how to find spots in the zones. And then Andy Reid and maybe Matt Nagy, that's helping him out, knows how to draw up stuff. And you could tell in this game, they said, hey, they want to talk about this Kyle Hamilton going one-on-one with Travis Kelce. We are going to see what they're really about. And they attacked it early and often to where the Ravens had to switch their whole defensive set. Like, man, we can't do that because he's about to have 20 catches, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So they had to switch everything up. And that's why you saw them able to slow the Chiefs down a little bit. But, man, hell of a job with Pat and Trav, and hell of a job with Andy Reid coming up with the sets to get Travis Kelce open, especially with Rashee Rice stepping up and people having
the Road Warrior.
A couple more things before we get out of here. Yeah, look at this. I mean, that's Hawk and Animal. That's straight up old school Iron Man stuff. They doubted it. They said, oh, this team's got to go on the road. Well, yeah, there's the Road Warriors. Hit the music. What a rush it's been.
Joe Montana beat the #1 defense in route to his 3rd Super Bowl win. Tom Brady beat the #1 defense en route to his 3rd Super Bowl win, and now Patrick Mahomes.
Come on, Pat.
#1 defense en route to hopefully what we're hoping is his 3rd Super Bowl.
Hey, I got a question for all you guys.
We were just running through.
Yeah, question for all you guys. Clint, Noah, Shane, Brian. Top 5 duos of all times. Travis Kelce, Mahomes, are they in there?
Yeah.
I'm talking about all the sports. All the sports.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I need some
Matt
time.
Castle, Chris
that.
Chambers.
That's a loaded question.
Matt Castle.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Matt Castle and Dwayne Bowe. Combo.
Just because
Right.
Travis Kelce alone passed Jerry Rice, he is in that mix, Michael.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you have
Brett-
Shaq and Kobe, Jordan.
Brett Saberhagen, Jim Sundberg.
Really?
Clinton, Noah.
Yeah, of course. That.
I can't.
Kevin Napier and
Scott Hall,
Bill
Kevin
Roberts?
Nash.
you want me to name some random Royals?
I don't know.
You nailed it, Clint.
But
Thank
hey,
you.
that's something to think about. Is like they go and win the Super Bowl. Are they a top 5 duo of all time in sports?
Yes.
Which
Wow.
puts you in a crazy, group.
Yes.
Right.
Michael Jordan and Luke
Yes!
Longley. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. You just,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We don't end this pod soon. We all drunk.
It has gone. I will agree that it's gone off the
Celebrate,
rails.
baby.
The Bengals,
Anybody
sorry,
but the
Jamar
Chiefs.
Chase saying anybody but the Chiefs, and now the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, so I hate to hear that his offseason is ruined. And Ryan Clark
Okay.
says if there's anybody out there that can compete with Patrick Mahomes, it's Joe Burrow. People are forgetting him because he got injured, but if there's anyone, he said that Mahomes is the GOAT, he's the best, no one's in his class. But if you are going to throw a name out there, it is Joe Burrow.
I agree.
No. What has Joe Burrow done? Joe
doesn't win a
Burrow
championship
has
game,
went
but
to
it was
one Super Bowl, has no MVPs, has no heart. He hasn't done anything. And it's been to get tight in Cincinnati. With this contract he has, it's finna get tight. T. Higgins, he's finna get up out of there. All right. Why does Joe Burrow belong? Nobody belongs in the class of Patrick Mahomes.
Well,
Because
no,
only two guys.
Maybe
Only two guys beat Brady.
When you guys are on Radio Row next week, maybe you can get Joe Burrow on there to talk about how he feels about being in the mix.
That would be our second
hopefully.
interview with Joe. We did interview him back at SEC Media Days 2019. The reason being, Brian, we've been trying to fabricate a rival for Patrick Mahomes now for 6 seasons, unsuccessfully across the league.
Baker Mayfield.
You know who his rival is? You know who Patrick Mahomes' rival is?
Josh Allen.
Tom Brady.
No.
Himself,
The league.
his receivers.
The NFL. He's only competing against himself. Nobody is in this man's
I agree,
class.
yeah.
It's like Jordan in the 90s.
Like all of these guys together. And you know, this is what I made. This is the point I made on the Blitz. And this is why we're watching Michael Jordan right now. Is because when you look back on a career, let's do a little NBA comparison here. When you look back on Jordan's career, Barkley, Ewing, Peyton, Kemp, Reggie Miller, whoever, name them.
Barkley,
Karl Malone, Stockton.
Come on, man. They have no hardware because of one man, because of Michael Jordan. This is the same thing that's happening, right? We're seeing it in real time again right now. Lamar Jackson, this should have been his year to win a bowl. Ain't happening, fam. Justin Herbert, maybe his time will come later. I don't know, but he's empty. Burrow had a chance. He's empty. Josh Allen had a plethora of chances. He's empty. Okay. Baker Mayfield, you name them. They don't have a chance. We're watching Jordan right now. And the thing that why I compare Patrick Mahomes to Jordan is because Jordan stopped people from winning championships in his era. Patrick Mahomes is doing the same thing. You can't do nothing but respect it, baby.
Hey, so Vegas, we got to meet up, right? Vegas, I'm gonna be there.
Absolutely. So I mean, Brian's gonna be coming down as well, and I mean, Michael, you're gonna be there. And the last thing, kind of before we have to go, is Pro Bowl predictions. We're gonna keep the Niners thing for the Radio Row when we're there, when we're in Vegas. So, Brian, if you want to start off with dodgeball.
Is it AFC, NFC? We're just picking.
I'm joking. You're definitely not doing that.
L'Jarius Sneed snubbed again. L'Jarius Sneed not on the roster once again, even though Peyton Manning picked him to the roster. I'm pissed.
Oh well, AFC for everything.
We play in Super Bowls. I forgot.
When it comes to the Pro Bowl, I'm a big AFC guy, excluding the Raiders and Broncos. I guess they can, they can play on the team for one game. But yeah, it's and the reason I'm like that is because of the AFC is the AFL. And here in Kansas City, nobody represents the AFL more than us because we were the team of the AFL. We were the winningest team in the AFL. We won the most championships in the AFL. The AFL was created by our founder, the Honorable Mr. Lamar Hunt. So, baby, I'm AFC, AFL to the bone.
Word.
Super Bowl 58 preview next Tuesday night as we head in to Las Vegas, to Sin City, to Super Bowl 58.
Wait, no, Clint, hold on. One more thing before we go. So since you guys are all four going to be there, is it going to be all four of you on one screen and me sitting here in my basement by myself?
Shane, you would ask something like that if we're trying to go off the air.
But I also want to make sure that people subscribe to us on Starcade Media on YouTube. Yep. Whether you're on Shane's YouTube right now watching, Brian's Facebook, our Twitter, wherever you are, make sure that you go and subscribe to us on Starcade Media on our YouTube channel because we will be live from there. We'll have videos just posted that we record from there on opening night, the players' team hotels. So we're going to be all over, but 100% you will find all of that on Starcade Media on our YouTube channel. So make sure you head over there so you don't miss anything that we've got for you. And as Clint is desperately saying, we are out of time.
Last thing.
Kick
some ass.
Go.
Kick some ass.